Holy crap, we're getting ready to start. Boom, what's up, my homies? I gotta call my man. All right, what's up, my friends, family, all these other people out there? This is Victor Bell Jr. What's up? Today's episode of the Ultimate Real Estate Show. As you guys know, Victor Bell Jr. I'm gonna introduce myself. I do it every show, just in case you don't know. Wanted to say what's up and make sure that I bring you some great shit on this show. I said every show I'm like, I'm not gonna cuss, and then like 30 seconds in I cuss. But you get it. It's just me, and I don't even know who else to be. So I got my man Big Josh helping me out today. And we wrote down some questions because I find that there's some questions that I'm in a bunch of real estate groups, multifamily groups. You guys know I'm a real estate player, and I see the same questions over and over again. But I know I wanted Josh to kind of go through a few questions that he had, and today we're going to start with that. So, Josh, any questions that you have, like maybe like some people who don't know me, and I'll go through that, especially I think with the question that we wrote down first that you had. So, what is it? What's the question that you had for today's show?
How did you get started in real estate investing?
How did I get started? Okay, cool. The short answer to that, for those of you guys who don't know, I was on probation. I had to get a job. I did not like working. Not that I didn't like working hard, but I didn't like working, and I realized, like, dude, people wait a very long time to get paid. I got in the military. I got out. I used my free GI Bill. I went to college and I failed out that first semester because school was just boring, man. I'll be honest, I didn't hold my attention for the type of person that I am, the way that I like to learn. You know, I'm a OJT type guy. And then I started hustling. I started selling drugs. I got busted. And once I got busted, I was on probation. And then I had to get a job. And if any of you guys been out there, been in trouble before, when you're in trouble, you're on probation, you got to check in with somebody your whole life. But when you got on probation like that, you got to go get a job. I was on probation for 5 years. And working this job, I would go to work every day. I worked nights. And I would get off and come home and look at the ceiling, knowing I had to wake up and not see my son Aaron. He was young at the time. And be like, man, there's got to be more to life than this, because if this is where I'm headed, I got out of the military, sold drugs, got busted, didn't make it in college, so I know college wasn't going to be the way. I was like, I got to do something else. So I went to work early, really, and I went to a bookstore, which was Hastings, and I got a book from the bookstore, and I sat on the floor, and I would read this book every day. And it was about fast cash with real estate by Ron LeGrand, as a matter of fact. And that's how I started. So I started with nothing because I had nothing, right? Everyone was like, how do you go from broke probation to real estate investor? And that's how. So a lot of people, I mean, maybe some of you guys, maybe you guys are already like, you got great careers, great credit, everything's going great for you. And you're like, dude, how do I get started? Well, you just have to get started. There's a reason why I feel I succeeded over some of the other people that I've met, though, is because I had to make it work. And we go through that a lot. So how I got started was I had to make it work. I had to pour myself into something else because I was an antsy dude. I was aggressive. I loved to work out and run back and forth. I was fighting professionally at the time. I was an ex-drug dealer. I was an ex-hardhead, meaning like I love following discipline. I got great discipline. But I always questioned discipline, like the go along to get along type crowd. That wasn't me. And it never has been, even since I've been a kid. So this made sense to me that I can actually produce as much as I wanted, and I got paid for that production, unlike my job that I was at. So yeah, that's how I got started, man.
Well, that was a good segue to a different question.
All right.
How do you feel about the take money to make money concept, saying as how you didn't have money at the time?
I don't believe that it actually takes money to make money. I think it takes balls to make money. There's a lot of things out there, especially real estate. If you're a real estate investor, there's tons of ways to make money in this game as an investor. I found when I had the most money and I put the most money in something, a lot of times I made mistakes. Money makes mistakes. Money doesn't make more money. All right. You make money because you solve problems. So when I think about it from that perspective, it doesn't really take money to make money. It takes balls to make money. And when I say it takes balls to make money, it takes balls to take somebody else's problem and become responsible for them, right? You guys have heard me say it before. I don't think the next wave of failure in real estate or in any market is going to be from real estate or some interest rate. It's going to be from irresponsibility. So the people that actually have balls enough to go out and get in the game and actually become responsible for somebody else's problem, no matter what that is, that's how you make money in real estate. So to answer that question, it doesn't really take money because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any credit. I didn't have any rich friends. I found those people, and even those people, I was the asset to them because I was willing to go into and go into situations that they weren't because they were afraid to lose, right? I was afraid to keep losing. So, for anybody that's a real estate investor, when I think about that stuff, I'm like, dude, you aren't losing because you're afraid to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have enough pressure on you to make it work. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it from that perspective, shit happens. You make it work, right?
What is an ultimate real estate investor to you?
That's the reason why we put this show together because, well, all right. So I did this. I'll do this real quick. By definition, if you were to Google the definition of, can you guys see that? Can you see it? If you were to Google the definition of ultimate, it says being or happening at the end of a process, final. But the definition that I tend to use is being the best or the most extreme example of its kind. So basically being the best of its kind. When you're an ultimate investor, or ultimate real estate investor, you know how to do all of it. And we were talking about this, man. I kind of consider myself like a real estate genius. Like I've done residential, I've done commercial, I've done apartment buildings, I've done retail commercial, I've done land, I've done subdivisions, I've done CPR stuff with a buddy of mine. We did renovations, we did retail, we did wholesale, we did assignments. I've done options, I've done lease options, I've done master leases, I've done mobile home parks, I've done all of that stuff. So when I see myself as the ultimate real estate investor because there's not really one or two things I can't do. At some point, I had the experience, real life experience, like in the fire of the real world with real money on the line. If you fail, you lose type shit. So when I think about being ultimate, I think about being the best of its kind. So a lot of people out there just want to be the best of one thing. When I recognized to be the best at one thing, I needed to be the best of all of them. So I really got an understanding of what that meant. So when I think about even this show, like as an ultimate real estate show, I want to actually go over the ultimate side of real estate investing, like creative financing, normal conventional financing, how to structure a deal, how to keep your mind right so you can actually get out there and push. And you can't do that if you aren't setting yourself up to be an ultimate real estate investor, or at least be the ultimate investor in the real estate space, right?
With that, what stops most investors from getting started, or if they're already in the game, from going to the next level?
Well, there's a couple of things, honestly. Especially that I'm in a couple of real estate groups, and I hear the same questions all the time, whether they're newbie investors or they're advanced investors and they're asking questions. I think what stops most investors from actually succeeding or getting started or hitting the next level is that they are more interested in being smart than they are actually at being good. I would rather be good and not smart to most people than to be smart and not good and broke at the same time. That sucks. So if you're brand new and you're a real estate investor, you are looking at it, but like we looked at one of the questions in one of the groups. It was like EMD or something like that. And I was like, what is that? And then later it's like, earnest money deposit. And as simple as that is, it's like, dude, just say earnest money deposit. The whole world knows what that is. And you're asking a question in a group that makes you look smart. You're asking a question, but it's like, doesn't matter. It's like, is this a deal you're getting ready to put money on? Because what's the best answer about how much earnest money you're supposed to put down? The least amount that can get you the deal so you can get started on it, right? If it's $1 or is $100,000, doesn't matter. So a lot of things that keeps people from actually getting started is because they want to understand everything, but you can't understand everything unless you actually get started, right? My very first deal, I had no idea what I was doing. That was probably the best investor that I could have ever been in my life because I had so little information, but I was so driven to make it work that I was so willing to be open to anything at the time. And the more knowledgeable I get, the less open I am and the less money that I make because I start rationalizing in my head what works, what doesn't for someone else before I've ever even got started. And that's the wrong answer. So the best thing that anybody can do to get started to go to the next level, one, stop trying to be smart and start being good by taking action. And number two is actually put yourself in a situation where you have to perform, right? Does it matter how much money you need to get started? No. Does it matter how much balls you need to get started? No. You just need to get started on any level. Every level you start off on is going to be the next level, whether you've done 100 deals. Like I've done over 100 deals, period. Way more than that. I've done millions of dollars in the dollar figure of amount of projects that I've done. And every deal, I'm still damn deathly afraid because I hate failing, I hate losing, and I hate to look bad, right? But that's for me. And I'll never get started if I'm trying to look smart because I'll just get educated and I won't go take action. Is that, I hope that helps answer that question.
Oh yeah, and that's another segue and a good question. How do you set your goals and what are your current goals right now? Like when you get ready to goal set for the month or for the week, what are you going for, and how do you make a goal that you can knock out the park even if it's scary?
All right, so for me, and people are different. From a real estate, we're just talking real estate investors. Real estate investors, whether you're advanced, whether you're just getting started, whether you got a business already in a career and you're doing real estate investing on the side or not. My goal is always get a deal, get one deal. That's it. I know what my cash flow needs are. If I need X amount of dollars per deal, then I usually try to say, okay, what does it take for us to be financially free? And then I make sure that deal provides that for me. And then I try to see how many times can I be financially free again. So prime example, like when I filed for bankruptcy, I knew what I needed to be financially free. I needed $4,000. So I just looked for an apartment complex that kicked off $4,000 or a deal that I could bring to the table, get it under contract, and flip that deal to somebody else that brought in about $48,000. Because I know $48,000 is $4,000 times 12 months. And to get one deal will set me right? Because I'm only one deal away from everything I would ever need. That one deal would either make me financially free through cash flow or financially free through budgeting. $48,000, $4,000 a month covers what I needed. And then the next question was, okay, how many times can I be financially free after that? Meaning once I got that one deal, which I did, then I looked at the next deal. Can I make X amount of dollars off this deal, and how long will that set me up to be financially free? Then it's just like, okay, how many years ahead can I be that way? Right? Can I buy one property that kicks off $4,000 a month for the next 10 years because I'm going to hold it for 10 years, 5 years, right? And then I got this other property that if I sold this deal, which is why I tell people, don't do a deal unless you're going to make $30,000 minimum, because if you work a job, you're a middle income person, you make $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year, you're going to blow $40,000, 40% of that in taxes. So your take home on the average at the minimum, if you're productive, is about $30,000 a year, right? So just do a deal that makes $30,000 a year because that's what you're bringing home at your job. Then your job looks less sexy. So when I set goals, I think, what is it that I need to live comfortably with my family had I had a real job, and can I do that as many times over? So technically, it always boils down to the same thing. Get one deal. One deal, that's it. And then it's hell or high water. Then you ain't like, oh shit, because my major goal is to create a $2 billion real estate company, right? I ran the numbers at $250,000 a door. We would only need about 8,000 units to be able to do that. But if I focus on getting 8,000 doors, I'll never get freaking started. I just got to get one deal. How many doors do I need to fulfill my obligations of cash flow? That's it. And it always boils back down to the same thing, just the one, right? You don't have to be smart to get one deal. You just got to do what I said earlier. You don't need a lot of money. You just need balls. You got to know how to solve people's problems. And every deal I look at has a problem that I can solve, right? So that's how I set goals for that.
To go along with that, what problems do you see in the current teachings or real estate game training?
This is kind of a personal thing for me in my mind. What I see typically is everyone's teaching people to do real estate investing, especially in the apartment building world, because that's I'm in that world a lot. And we got an event coming up. It's an apartment building boot camp. I used to be a coach for a pretty big company, Rementor. I was a coach for them, speaker for them, things like that. I love them. But everyone can't play at the level that they're teaching, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So prime example, let's say you want to do an apartment building, and the only thing I teach you is how to syndicate and how to evaluate deals and how to use your credit and stuff like that. If you don't have good credit like I didn't have, and if you can't syndicate because you don't know a bunch of people that you can raise money from, right? Syndication by itself will cost you a minimum of like 15 grand depending on who you're dealing with and the attorney. Right? If you got a great attorney that has a great reputation, he's going to charge you 25 grand for his information and knowledge. Then you have somebody else who's great at what they do and maybe they charge less, but still that's 15 G's. If you don't have it, you can't get started if that's the only way that people are teaching, right? So how do you get in the game? You got to be able to, that's one of the problems that I see. So we got a lot of people who are teaching how to do something because they're teaching from where they are today rather than teach people from where they started. I teach people how to buy apartment buildings from where I started because I don't know where you're starting. As a matter of fact, if you learn my strategy, then you can start from wherever the hell you want. You can use your money, you can use your credit, you can syndicate, you can have no money, you can do creative financing. But my strategy is a little different because I don't teach find the money first. I teach find the deal first because that's always been how I've succeeded, right? If you can find a good deal, you can find all the money you want. So I think that's counterintuitive to the way that everybody teaches anything right now because they're like, oh, go find the money, network, do all this other stuff. I'd rather network with owners who can make my dreams happen because if I come across a deal, I can go find the money. Somebody will be like, dude, I want in, right? Because they're all out looking for money right now. And if you can't look for money and if you aren't having success, because that's the least passive resistance, looking for money, you will just go back to your job. So that's my thought process. Like, so everybody teaching this stuff out there, that's a big problem, a big problem. And I went over that with somebody yesterday.
And final question.
Yeah.
When the market changes, how do your deals change or how do your strategies change? They don't.
When the market changes, my strategy doesn't change. Everyone teaches that. When the market changes, like, and we'll use this as it relates to being like the fight game, right? If I'm the champion already, I have the belt. I'm not watching you train. I'm watching me train. This is also something that I share with people. I'm working on my strengths and eliminating my weaknesses, right? Most people work on their weaknesses. So they go, oh, I have this weakness, I'm going to work on it, so I have all strengths. Well, I don't do that. I just work on my strengths, and then that way I'm all strong. I just get rid of weakness. Look, if I'm not good at stand-up and beating up people on their feet, I'm just going to eliminate that process and just go straight in for takedowns. I know it exists, but I'm going to eliminate that for someone else, right? Same thing with the market. I don't focus on the market's doing this, guys, because most of that information that they give most people out there about the market is a consumer information guide for market-driven people. I'm an investor. I'm not looking to buy a home for myself, if that makes sense. I'm looking to buy homes from people who are watching the market and they're making bad decisions. Like I said, they're being irresponsible, not because they're not responsible people, but because they're so inundated with all the information that they get, they start making bad decisions, and then they don't want to take care of those decisions because it wasn't their decisions to begin with. It was just information, right? Because they were looking to be smart. I come along and take those. So I got to make sure my game is good all the time. That if I know creative financing, I know conventional financing, I understand real estate, I understand my own personal strategies, I've stopped doing shit that doesn't work for me and leave that to other people who it does work for, then as the market changes, I just go into where I'm good, right? And if the market does better, I just go into where I'm good. That's all. Like, I just lean in on that strength again. So I'm not watching the dips and sways in the market. So how can you hedge for that? Because everyone will be like, yeah, but you can't ignore the market. Like, okay, well, play the cash flow game. Buy apartment buildings. If you buy apartment buildings, it's a cash flow game. The market can dip and sway all the fucking once. But if I got money coming in every month, that's great. If prices skyrocket on gas and milk and pork butt, then it also skyrockets on my apartment buildings for rent, right? Because prices go up everywhere. And if I own something that you have to pay for, prices go up. If prices go down, then fine. As long as I understand what my break-even parts are in my apartment buildings, I know where I have to stay as it relates to rent, and I can weather the storm. But that also goes back into like we talked about before. When you have enough of those things, because I'm going to say, hey, look, apartment building's not a house. If I'm renting my house out, rent goes down cheaper than my mortgage. I'm ass out because I'm 100% vacant, right? Mm-hmm. But if I have 10 and I have all these people paying into this, I can go back and say, look, we got 10 units, 20 units, 50 units of all people paying rent at a baseline minimum. Even though we're at break even and I'm not making any money, and I lose, let's say I lose 2 tenants. Let's say I lose 10 tenants on 100 units. It's not that bad, But if I lose 1 tenant on a house, and now I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? That leads into me saying, hey, look, that's where I solve problems. I buy properties from people like this because they didn't know what to do with it. And I'm probably going to buy it at a steep discount because I'm working on my strengths. I know how to solve problems. I'm okay with taking this person's problem, putting it around my neck, and making a profit off of it. Right? Everyone looks bad at that, but I'm a predatory buyer. So, like, if you listen to the way people are teaching right now, they're, hey, buy a value-add deal, buy a property with some problems, buy distressed properties, that's predatory, right? We're succeeding off of other people's downfalls. In the real estate investing world, everybody we can think of, Donald Trump, I was looking at a video the other day. It is an older video, and he was like, I just bought this big piece of land, this country club, golf course or something like that in Florida. And they were like, and he was talking about the deal. He was like, it was with a lender that lent it to somebody, the bank, right? The bank lent this property, got the loan. So I bought the property. And he was like, they paid $500 million for it a few years ago. I paid $100 million for it. And everyone clapped. But someone else would go, oh, that's wrong. He profited off of somebody else's downfall. Dude, that's the game. The ultimate real estate investor is the ultimate real estate investor because he understands, like, hey, look, I'm great at all things. But in all things that I'm great at this. And we take advantage on the opportunity. So we're not watching the market per se. We're watching our own strategy. And if your strategy is to buy at a discount and to actually succeed and make a profit, this is the game, right?
Truth is, if not you, somebody else is going to do it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, and the person that does it, that's not us. We marvel at that person because we wouldn't. Yeah. And then when the market gets good, like, well, he's great because he did this. Like, no, he's great because he saw an opportunity. He didn't see the market. He saw a market opportunity. And there's a big difference in looking at those two things, right? So, I don't know. So how do you guys use this stuff? Become the ultimate investor. Become ultimate. Know your game better than anybody else, whatever that is for you, right? 2, the status quo of all of this stuff, man, you got to take a look at this. I was talking to somebody, my buddy George, yesterday. We were talking through text, and he brought up something, and I'll end on this note because I thought this really is important. Because I too fall prey to this. When we look at our heroes and our sheroes in the market, right? Like real estate investors especially, we like, oh man, this guy has 20,000 apartment units, 7,000 apartment units. He's been doing real estate for 20 years. And he said something that he had got from Tony Robbins, and I used to say it too. He was like, in order to have what someone has, you have to do what it took for them to get it, right? So I mean, like, you do their steps, do their strategies. But I was telling him, I was like, where that fails is that if you weren't under the same pressure that they're under when they did it, you may not succeed, even if you're doing what they did, right? So I succeeded because I had to. So when you embrace, I have to do it, I don't have any money left, I have to do it. Or when you are looking at your situation where I got a great job, great business, money's cash flowing, great credit cards, and I got access to cash, you may not have to do it because your fear of losing your great credit, missing a payment on something, throwing caution to the wind and taking this massive risk for this massive upside, that pressure of not losing what you have may trump doing whatever it takes to get it done. So while I can tell you, hey, go find a deal, go knock on the door and talk to somebody, go talk to the tenants, find out who the owner of this building is and tell them that you're interested in this thing, that may be simple to me because I've never taken that amount of pressure off myself to go get the job done because that's where I started. So I may be able to teach you exactly what my system and my strategy is to succeed. But if you don't have enough pressure on you to go do that, like I told George, man, doesn't matter what you do that I did. It's where you are currently right now that will make you succeed or fail. So, like, think about it. He got that idea from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins started his company. What's he say in the beginning of that? When I started, I was I was in a 450 square foot, 1-bedroom studio apartment washing my dishes in the bathtub. If you ain't there, you may not be able to start the amount of with the amount of pressure if you don't have that kind of pressure to succeed. One of the books I'm reading with Jose Perez, he's another billionaire developer, right? His strategy is the same. It's no money down deals. Like find the lenders, find the investors. They put up some beautiful buildings all over the world, right? But when you really look at his strategy, you go, man, I could do that. I could do that. I did it too. He talks about being a child watching when they left Cuba, and his mom standing there, and as they were leaving, knowing they weren't coming back, the soldiers were ripping the rings off of his mother's fingers, taking everything that they had. And in his mind, he was like, I will never let that happen to me again. I'll never let that happen to my family again. So while I may want what he has, I don't have the fuel that he has, because that burning image in his mind keeps him pushing past where I may when things ain't that bad. No one's ripping my wife's rings off. Stopping us from leaving the country or stopping us from coming back into it. So whatever we have we may not be as hungry as him. And then we wonder, man, I did the same thing. Why aren't I succeeding? Maybe it's the information. No, it's not. His drive is different. So that's one of the things that when I took a look at this show and wanted to do this show, why I may come across as too intense for some people, because the back of my mind, I am so afraid of not being able to provide for my family anymore. So while you may look at a deal, I am evaluating that deal on the premise that this is how I'm going to have to feed my family. This is this. So you may go, yeah, it's a great investment. I'll talk to my friends about it. And by that time, I'm already trying to turn in contract. I'm already trying to evaluate. I'm already trying to find an investor. I'm already talking to people, because I'm thinking this is the $4,000 to $5,000 that I need additional for an additional 2, 3 to 5 years worth of financial freedom for my family. That's hard to beat. That's what makes me an ultimate real estate investor. That's what, like I said, it's like the UFC. I refuse to let you take my belt. I'm not watching what you're going to do. I'm watching my family suffer while I train and bleed out on the mat. And I get up and I go to the next training partner because this person is trying to take my belt. Not happening. It's different. It's a different field. So while that may scare most people, because I was showing somebody yesterday my apartment assassination logo. And they were like, oh, it's too strong. And I was like, at first I was getting ready to take offense to that, and I realized, what I do isn't for people like you. You want to succeed more than you think, but sometimes it takes that. And if you're not my type of guy or girl, I get it. Go to somebody who can help you. Go to somebody who's a little bit more conservative. Like, I actually want to help people and their families succeed at the level that I believe they deserve, and I haven't found it work any other way. Even the people who sell courses, if you get into a mastermind, like I have, and I paid the money to get into masterminds, if you get into that, when you go from the stage to sitting down and talking to them, great, fine. You go behind the scenes and talk to them, you'll find that they're just as ruthless as I am. And they ain't there to lose. And you go, whoa, I didn't see that coming. So this is not an abnormal attitude. We just find it funny when people can say it, when they can be authentic and be themselves and be real in front of the camera, the same way they are behind the camera. But this is truly the attitude to have. And if you don't want to work with someone like that, well, I would say this. I'm the best person to work with as a partner, because I will push and bump and grind and shove all the way up to the top. And if we're partners, we will get there, right? I expect it. So it's easy for me to articulate these things. But if somebody does not, and they're thinking, hey, what if the market changes? Then we'll shift. How much money do we need? Doesn't matter. We're just going to go get it. What if you fail? Then we all lose. And I'm not here to lose, or I wouldn't be talking to you. Right? That's, well, I don't like that guy. I'm going to go talk to my accountant. Maybe he can help me. Yeah, go talk to him. His job is accounting. My job is investing and creating profit margin and capital and cash flow for myself, my investors, and all the people who bet on us, our lenders and partners and bankers. Right? That's a different thing. That's why I chose the theme of the Ultimate Real Estate Show, and I modeled it like, hey, you need to be a MMA fighter, right? MMA investor, a money-making athlete, money-making entrepreneur, money-making artist in this game. Because when you can do that, then you can step in any ring, any arena, and you can make this thing work if you're an investor. So I truly believe that. So I hope this show has been entertaining, as well as offered some insight in the mindset that you got to have, and also the attitude that you got to have, and also the actions that you have to really look at about this thing. So, one, before I go, I'm having an apartment building boot camp. It is for people who are ready to actually take their real estate investing game by the horns and get into the multifamily game. I'll teach you exactly what I do, how I do it, why I do it, why I've done it that way, and how you could do it too. And actually train you guys to be almost like I always like to tell people, like a well-trained assassin looking to take down, locate, and find your deals and get paid and to be able to create massive profit margins in your deals, because I think that's important. But this show really is to offer up some insight, right? To help a few people really get, like, dude, I really need to get this thing done. I like that guy, or I hate him, he's too intense, or he's too aggressive. It's not my style, man. If it's not me, good. Find somebody else. But get into the game of real estate investing, apartment building investing primarily, because that's what I push. But you got to know how to do all of it, and you got to really, really, really find the groove so you can make money and provide for your family the way that they deserve. All right, so this is Victor Bell. Always, always, always doing this because I want you to win. And just remember, man, you're only one deal away from creating the life and the freedom that you want. And that's one building, period. You one building and change your life, change your game. So for all you guys out there, I'm doing this because I want to help you win, and I hope this helps you do that. So let's get this thing done together. That's where we're at. To your wins.